Hello, Wilkes-Barre Strand Knights fans, alongside NAHL head coach and general manager Tom Kowal. I'm Andrew Mossbrooks. It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner. As we enter the month of February, we are getting down to the wire here. Final third of the NAHL regular season. And Tom, last time out for the Knights, a couple of tough losses against a team that is ahead of you in the standings, the New Jersey Titans. I still feel there's a few positives to pull from there. You've complained at times about lack of goal scoring. You did get 7 goals in 2 games. What's your overall assessment on the weekend?
I like when we don't score goals because we win more games. But no, hey, we played hard this weekend. We didn't get rewarded with any points. First time in 2019 we didn't get a point on the weekend.
Yeah.
We came back to work on Monday, but ultimately, we tried to run and gun a little bit, probably too much over the weekend with New Jersey. Whenever we played New Jersey since day one we've been in this league, it's been a hard-fought battle. It's, sometimes it's a 8-7 game, sometimes it's a 3-2 game. But
this season for sure.
Yeah, and then we went in playoffs last year. We went to 5 games in playoffs last year. It's a real good battle against the New Jersey Titans. Great atmosphere, great game, but unfortunately we came away with 0 points. But it's a good motivator going into the weekend against Northeast Generals this weekend to show that we've got to work hard every day. 2 points are not easy to get in this league anymore.
You mentioned it also. The first weekend you didn't get points in 2019, so you guys were on a pretty good run there. And part of that, if you want to put an asterisk next to these losses, comes from lack of personnel, some injuries that you had to battle with. And inserting into the lineup was a couple of new defensemen. Caden Lewandowski, he had played 1 game back on November 1st for the Knights, went back to his U18 team in Pittsburgh, but came in, played 2 games on the weekend. You also had Matt Passaretti up from the EHL. He's a SUNY-CAN commitment for next season. We talked about them a little bit last time in terms of them coming to the team. Can you give an assessment of what you thought in the first 2 games, in Lewandowski's second and third, but in their games on the weekend?
Matt Passaretti, showed that why he's going to college. As a 98, he was able to jump in, and he fit right in. By middle of the game Friday, and for sure by the end of the game Friday, you would think the kid possibly was a full-time guy with us. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, I thought Matt did a very good job both nights. I think he had an assist on Friday night. And,
yeah.
I really can't go back and go, Passaretti cost me this goal or that goal. But, so I thought he did real well. Caden Lewandowski, obviously in his second and third game with us, coming right out of youth hockey. So he had a a bigger adjustment to adjust from youth hockey into junior hockey again. A little bit tougher than Matt Passaretti did, but he did all right. He did it very well. I think he had a 4-on-1 he had to stop on Friday night, so his eyes got a little big, I think, on that one. But ultimately, I thought the boys stepped in, did real well. When you take out Bronte, Chris, Donovan, we just trade Luke Robinson. 3 of our top, 5 defensemen are not in the lineup. You put an asterisk next to it, Andrew, but at the end of the day, injuries happen. That's part of being depth. We had an opportunity to have some other guys have an opportunity to step up, play some bigger roles, and we had a few guys step up this past weekend. And ultimately, when you take a 2-loss weekend, you try and find some positives, but the positives were definitely some guys that normally haven't stepped up and put points on the board, contributed to this past weekend, and hopefully now if we can get everybody going, we'll have a successful weekend coming up.
We'll talk about those forwards that we're mentioning with points in just a moment. Let's stay on the defense for a second here, Tom. Blake Kriska and Shea Donovan were out with injury. That's what forced your hand to put Lewandowski and Passaretti in. Going into this weekend against the Northeast Generals, do we have an update on A, the injuries of your players, also Tyrone Bronte, and B, what is the status of Lewandowski and Passaretti with the NA Knights?
Bronte will be back. Bronte's been back in a normal jersey yesterday and today. He actually stayed home Saturday and practiced with our EHL hockey team to get an extra. So he's been on the ice 3 of the last 4 days. He felt real well. He's not having headaches. He's not having any symptoms. So we're feeling 100% Tyrone's going to be back this weekend. Blake Kriska is going to be out another weekend. We tried him yesterday. Didn't get good results on how he felt after practice, and especially how he woke up this morning. So we're gonna hold Blake out 1 more weekend, which is going to open up an opportunity again to bring another defenseman. So I'm actually going to watch the EHL hockey game today, and
there we go.
Meet with my staff. Meeting with my staff after the game, and first thing tomorrow morning, and decide who we're going to take to our Thursday, Friday series with Northeast at Yale University.
Do you have an option on Shea Donovan and his status?
Oh, Shea Donovan, yes. Shea Donovan was back today and yesterday. We kept him home over the weekend too to skate and rest up, but he's been full bore. We're expecting Shea Donovan to be in. Anthony Mastromonica got a little banged up over the weekend. He's day-to-day right now, but right now, Chris out, Mastromonica, day-to-day is, and everyone else we feel is, as of Wednesday afternoon, healthy.
Let's hope that it stays that way. Fighting off the injury bug, and of course at all times this season, but everybody's played over half a season, so you mentioned it before, like everybody's going to have to battle with injuries. And when that happens, you need guys to step up. And some guys that had slow starts to the season, you're going to ask to take a little bit of a bigger bite out of the pie in the second half. Earlier in the week, last week against New Jersey, we saw a different trio. You trying to mix some things up, so you said, you know what, let's put Max Clennell, Beck Moore, and Zach Curry together. In the Friday game, those three combined for 4 points. I thought Zach Curry may have had his best game of the season. When you look at these three players, how happy were you? You talked about taking positives from the losses. That might have been your biggest positive of the weekend, was how good those three played.
You know what, I mean, I think all three of those guys have been in and out of the lineup the first half of the year, and I think, you know, when we came back for the second half, we all sat down, had individual meetings with each player, and you know, and I pretty much challenged all three of those guys. If you want more ice time, play better. And they showed me this past weekend that they can play. And you know, it's I said, when people are getting hurt, you got to throw a few different combinations to kind of fill your lineup up when you only have 12 healthy forwards. But Moore, Curry, and Clennell, they were probably our best line last weekend. And you know, they're just doing this. They're playing simple. They're doing the small things, and they actually, you know, they got to play with each other the last couple weekends, you know, off and on. But so I just finally just said, you know what, we're gonna give them a whole weekend together and see what they can do. And by golly, they performed really well. And you know, if we can just keep them going and add Bronte back to the lineup and get Gabe Temple going, and you know, Jacob Adal back on the score sheet, you know, I think you're going to see a great second half out of the Wilkes-Barre Knights.
You've got a lot of guys that have a lot of potential, and you're right, just getting everybody going at the same time is so crucial. You're going to need it this weekend. Let's look at the standings right now. 5 points back of the Northeast Generals, who are in that fourth and final playoff spot. Now, you have 2 games against that team. It could get as bad as 9 out. It could get as good as 1 behind them, and you're back to pretty much where it's been all season, just a point away or a point in. What's the message? I know you talk about the same approach every time, but I have to think maybe even you and the players are thinking a little more like, hey, these games, these guys, we got to win.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, God, you know, we talk about how we've been pretty good in 2019. So is Northeast Generals. You know, they went off 2 weekends ago splitting with the Titans, and then they swept Johnstown Tomahawks last weekend. So, you know, we know we're going to have a different team than we played last time we played Northeast. You know, but we're really, you know, so we've made our adjustments that we feel we need to do. We've been pretty successful. I think we're 4-2 against the Generals this year. But, you know, we're looking to have a tough team to play against this weekend with the Generals. But more importantly, I really feel strong about the way we've been playing this weekend. If we can just, you know, stop a few of our mistakes, I don't think, no matter who we play, we show we can play against the best. I feel we can be the best, and you know, it just took us a little bit longer to get our chemistry, get us rolling a little bit with our young guys. But we're going to be a team to be reckoned with the second half, and you know, it has to start this weekend. I mean, like you said, Andrew, we could see daylight, or we could see a dark hole. You know, it's not the end. You know, we're not going to end the season this weekend, but it sure in the heck can make us sit in a lot better situation to defend our East Championship.
Well, you're going to play your 40th game this season, and probably none more important than what's upcoming. The Knights visiting the Northeast Generals, a Thursday 8:45 game, and then 7 o'clock on Friday, both available on Hockey TV. Don't forget to follow us here on WBS Knights on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course right here on WBS Knights Hockey on YouTube. That's going to do it for this edition of Coach's Corner. Head coach of the NAHL, Tom Kowal. Good luck this weekend against Northeast.
Thank you, Andrew.